And joining us now is D.C. Metropolitan Police Officer Daniel Hodges, who defended the Capitol bravely on January 6th, where he was trapped in a revolving door in the doorway as rioters hit him with his own baton. He testified before the January 6th committee last July about that experience, and he's been attending all of these public hearings with his fellow survivors. Daniel, it's good to see you again. Well, you've been to all the hearings.
Everyone except for one of them, yes.
Well, last night's hearing, though, how do you feel? Did you get any sleep last night?
I got to sleep very late, but the hearing, it's surprising and it isn't. You know, it was all about Trump and how he didn't do anything to stop the attack, and that's not surprising really, because he's the one who sent them, right? Why would he want to call off his own army? But the only time he did was when it was clear that they were going to fail, that they weren't going to accomplish his mission.
And were you surprised to the extent that the committee established by those communications that not only was the mob following him by, the way he inflamed their targeting of Mike Pence, but some of them did begin to leave after he did begin to call them off in the 4 o'clock hour, but they were still battering on the West Front, battering some of you.
Yeah, he has an incredible amount of control over these people's minds. It's very cult-like. There's no really other better word for it. He knows that. He knows that he could have stopped that at any time, but he chose not to. And I just hope that there's some accountability for that in the future.
It's Katie Tur here in New York. I want to ask you about an exchange that the committee revealed between some Trump campaign staffers about the president's words after the insurrection, what he did not say. And these are the texts. Also, S-word, you can guess what it says here, not to have even acknowledged the death of the Capitol police officer, Brian Sicknick. And this is Matthew Wolking saying, "That's enraging to me. Everything he said about supporting law enforcement was a lie," to which Tim Murtaugh responded, "You know what this is, of course. If he acknowledged the dead cop, he'd be implicitly faulting the mob, and he won't do that because they're his people. And he would also be close to acknowledging that what he lit at the rally got out of control. No way he acknowledges something that could ultimately be called his fault. No way." I imagine you were not aware of those text messages until last night. You were in the room. Did you have a response when you saw those?
Yeah, I had never seen those messages before. I thought it was a very astute observation that, yeah, any acknowledgement of what happened or the deaths that Donald Trump led to occur would amount to some form of admission of guilt and culpability. And we all know that that's not something that he does. I don't expect he ever will willingly admit to any role he played in that violence.
Trump has billed himself as a supporter of law enforcement. The Republican Party has billed themselves as the supporters of law enforcement. Those supporters that were even on the Capitol claimed that they were supporters of law enforcement. Do they?
The ones that were beating me and my comrades and, telling us that they're going to kill us and spraying us with chemical munitions, wasp spray, tasers, the guns, knives, the bombs. No, I don't think they support law enforcement. I didn't get that impression, at least.
There's been a narrative for quite a while. I think the Washington Post was first to report that he was sitting in his dining room watching the violence and not doing anything. It's one thing to say he was not doing anything, but what we learned last night is that the Pentagon was trying to reach him, and he wouldn't take the call. He didn't call any law enforcement. As a law enforcement officer, the fact that he didn't call city officials, the FBI, Homeland, or take a call from the Pentagon. He blew it off and had Pat Cipollone take the call. What does that tell you about his oath of office?
Yeah, it's not just about a lack of action, but the lack of action is in itself an action and a choice. He chose not to do anything, even though he knew the power his words had over his people. And it's a dereliction of duty. He knows that he could have stopped the attack on this branch of government at any time, and he didn't.
How do you feel about accountability? We don't know what the Justice Department is doing, and now there's talk that he may announce very early for re-election for 2024 in the hopes of slowing down any potential indictment. But do you feel that there should be an unprecedented action against a former president?
Do I feel what?
That there should be a legal action?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I have no doubt that Trump is going to run again, and because he feels he's insulated in the political office from any legal ramifications for his actions. And, so far he's been proven correct about that. But I'm hoping that the Justice Department takes everything that they've been investigating, hopefully, and everything that the committee has been putting forward, and puts it together and puts a case together that will defend the country against the current and likely future attacks on democracy.
Spoken like a law enforcement officer, no one is above the law. What about the image of Josh Hawley first giving that fist pump to the crowd and then running away?
Oh God, that's hilarious. I don't know what else to say about that, but it's nice to see who people really are, and rather than the manufactured image that they try to put out there, and getting the truth out to people in so many different ways is very refreshing.
Daniel, we talked to each other last winter, and I'm just wondering did these hearings stir it up again, or does it help your healing?
I've always been pretty resilient mentally, so I'm doing all right, and I'm just grateful that the committee's done all the work that it's done, including its staff. I know they've put together a lot of great witnesses, a lot of great testimony, and anything that they're able to put out there, I'm grateful for that the American people are able to see it and take it going forward in their in midterms and beyond.
Well, we're grateful to you for your service, Daniel
Absolutely.
Hodges. Thank you very much.